Hello everyone. The other night when we were jelly plating, I had several people say that they were not happy with their jelly prints because they seemed to feel that their jelly prints needed to be a finished product. Now, if I'm not happy with something, I can go over it and jelly plate over it further. But for the most part, when I jelly plate something, and see, I was in love with this, but at the same time, the whole piece is not really a finished piece. And that's kind of how I look at my jelly printing. This is not of something that's I consider finished. It is something that I consider to be an element of for the next step. Very much like if we coffee dye paper or tea dye paper. This is a beautiful piece of tea dyed paper, but I wouldn't consider it something that's a finished product. I love the way this came out, all nice and splotchy, but it's just an element for the next thing. That is true with scrapbook paper. You wouldn't consider scrapbook paper a finished thing. So I think if we look at our jelly prints as if they were not necessarily a finished product, but yet a part of something else, then maybe we wouldn't have this I don't like it thing, or it's not good enough thing happening. I happen to like this. This is a nice base. This happens to be a file folder. And what I really came on today to show you is I'm going to take this a step further because I want to use this file folder as a cover for something. Now, you all know, and if you watch any of my art journaling videos, if you look at the latest ones, and I'll put a couple of links down in the description box, I've been using my jelly prints in collage. And I often grab a piece and just use it in a collage. So I use those jelly prints as parts and pieces. This particular one I'm going to use as a whole thing. So to me, it doesn't really finished. It lacks a little something. And that little something is not a lot, it's just a little something. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to finish this one today to consider it a finished piece. I'm going to use some black and some white paint. This just happens to be a large thing of white that I've had for a while, so that's what I'm using. Old craft paint is just, good old craft paint's just fine. But I'm going to use black and white. And the reason for that is this is a nice bright thing. So that little bit of black and white will give it some punch, add some like focal points to it. Then I'm going to use some tools, my favorites. This is a tape roll out of some packing tape. This is a little cup from my laundry soap. This is the middle of tape. It's normally Scotch tape. I have taken the Scotch tape out of this one and put some washi tape in it. But it's the centerpiece out of the Scotch tape. And I really love it because it has two circles. And I may or may not use this stamp. It's another one I like, but more than likely I won't use it. But I'm also going to use a paintbrush, and the thing of it is I'm going to use the back end of the paintbrush. I'm not going to use the tip. I use this to make dots, and I do it all the time. So those are the things I'm going to use. These are the colors I'm going to use, and I'm going to just add to this canvas of jelly prints the black and the white. And I have some, like a piece of plastic over to my right hand side. You can't really see it. I use it as a palette. It's pretty slimy here. I'll show you. It's just a piece of like acetate. And I just get this all covered with paint, and I sort of do some stamping. And you notice it's not perfect, and I don't care if it's not perfect. It's got some raised sort of texture to it when I pick it up. Now, one thing I do like to do is I like to make sure that things go off the edge. Now, because of that, I need to wipe that up. I should have put a piece of scrap paper down under there, and I didn't. That wasn't smart. I may be only going to use 2 tools on this whole thing. Okay, let's look at it a little bit closer. All right. All right. Now, I'm just dipping the back end of my paintbrush into the paint. at this point, if this were in your journal, a quote, a word, some little something like that would finish it. It would be a finished art journal page. That little bit of extra black and white over the top of the Gelli prints just adds that much to calling it a finished print. And I just really want to come on and kind of just show you what I do and why it's that way. And I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to read you a quote from my 1001 Ways to Creativity, and I've got some other chores to do today, so we'll see about what's next. We all know the experience of just needing to get the job done. At such times, creative approaches can seem like a luxury we can ill afford. But in actual fact, the imaginative path often takes us where we need to go more quickly than the obvious path. Okay, guys, go have fun. Make some art. Bye-bye.